Welcome to 5 Steps to Speed Up Recovery from Narcissist Abuse. I happen to be a narcissist survivor. I survived a 2-year relationship with an extremely toxic female. Also, horrific experience in my childhood with a narcissist slash sociopathic father. I'm also the author of a book called Pink is the Color of Empathy. This is all about how to overcome narcissist abuse and become an empowered empath. Let's begin the journey of narcissist abuse, something that the average person won't grasp and understand. It's not just a question of being heartbroken from the ending of a relationship with a narcissist. It's much deeper, much more painful than that. Your soul has been devoured, has been devastated, has been torn to shreds. And that's why it's so hard to overcome, heal, and recover. So let's dive into those 5 steps. The first step is the grieving phase. Now, as you go through that grieving phase, I encourage you to go full in. Do not feel shame or guilt. The experience was horrific. They did you wrong. They are demons. They are horrible. They are more ugly than people can imagine. You have every right to feel sad, to feel broken, to feel depressed. Grieve, grieve, grieve. Void of shame, void of guilt. There are several steps to grieving. There will be moments of anger. There will be moments of total hate for that person. There will be moments of utter shame and guilt. There will be sadness, numbness, indifference. You might feel completely incapacitated to function in society. You might not be able to get out of bed. You would have lost your appetite. You will be overeating. You will not be sleeping. There's a whole slew of things that will happen to you. Your brain physiology has changed as a result of that narcissist abuse. Your body has experienced an overload of cortisol. So there's not only an emotional and mental journey that must be navigated, there is also a physical aspect to the recovery. And the good news is the neurons that have been broken in your brain, the shrinking of parts of your brain that deal with stress, can be rehabilitated with work. But let's go back to the grieving. Again, allow yourself to grieve. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to deny it. Don't suppress it. Why? Because that might be a temporary short-term numbness to the pain. However, your subconscious, your body has experienced that stress and it will manifest at a later time. And potentially when it manifests at a later time, you might not make the correlation as to what it is, and you will be unable to heal what your body, your mind, and your spirit are experiencing. So in the moment, allow yourself to acknowledge this horrific pain. Insult the person, go and spread the bad news, because here's my take on it. You're not spreading gossip. You're not spreading rumors when you reveal to people how this person treated you. You are telling the truth about a shitty, horrible, ugly person. You're not telling lies. What you experienced is what happened, and you have every right to tell people what happened. If you go around telling lies and manipulating the situation, then shame on you. But for the most part, people healing from narcissist abuse tell the truth. In fact, they oftentimes will soften the reality. They will oftentimes validate, somewhat excuse the bad behavior. So while you're grieving, vent, vent, vent to people that you trust, knowing that the narcissist has been doing a smear campaign. You will experience flying monkeys, who are the people that they have solicited to perpetuate their game, to make you feel even worse, and to basically form a gang of people that are completely against you with the intention to isolate you, to break you even more. Know that that's going to happen. That's a part of the grieving journey. You've got to be prepared for these external weapons that are going to perpetuate the suffering and the pain that they inflicted on you. Just learn to embrace this is the reality. People don't know what happened. They are going to judge me. They are going to condemn me. And I simply have to embrace that. And I'm going to grieve the loss of people who I thought were my friends, the people in my family even, who believed and bought the lies of my narcissist partner. That's the reality. You've now grieved. And the grieving process, while you're going through it, this is key. Have empathy for you. If you had a friend who was grieving, you would be understanding, you would be caring, you would be nurturing, you would be gentle with their soul. So don't beat yourself up as you recover and as you grieve. Be kind to yourself. Your soul needs to be soothed and carried and caressed and protected. And believe, and you have to believe yourself that what happened to you actually did happen. You are not insane. The gaslighting will make you feel that you are out of your mind, that you are imagining things that happened. They happened. Don't let the gaslighting fool you. You were there, you know what happened, you're fully conscious, you know what happened, and it is true. Those things actually did happen. Those things were said, those things were done. So you have every right to grieve. The next step can come while you're grieving, it can come in the beginning, it can come in the middle, it can come at the very end. But at some point, you have to make a conscious decision. Number 2 is decision. Number 1 was grieve. Number 2 is decision. Make the decision, I am going to recover. I am going to heal. I am going to overcome this horrific situation. That's number 2. You've got to make that conscious decision to want to recover, to be determined to recover, to no longer be the victim. I survived a narcissist. I've been there. It's not easy, but it can be done. So make that decision. You're going to have to dig deep into your soul to find all the resources, strength, courage, resilience to navigate this horrible, treacherous journey of recovery from a broken soul. So number 1 was grieve. And that's going to come in phases, ups and downs, backwards and forwards, up, inside out, all of the variations. Allow it to happen. Then make that choice. And then once you find the strength, and the strength for bullet point number 3 might happen while you're still in the relationship. But the way to escape the narc abuse at some point, you have to go what's called no contact. That can be from day 1 of the breakup. That can be after the series of back and forths where they've reeled you back in, they've hoovered you back in, you've fallen for it, you've believed them, and then you find that the same behavior is happening all over again. And it's so hard to walk away and leave and go no contact. You have to cut that umbilical cord, because as long as they have access to you, they can poke the wound, they can add salt to the wound, they can reel you in with a bit of evil seduction. No contact, no contact, no contact. Some of you will be thinking, yes, but I have a family member. I can't go no contact. They're my baby's daddy. They're the father of my son. All these things. There are all these validations. And now this is where you have to be very honest with yourself. Are you making excuses and validations because you're not really ready to cut the umbilical cord? Because that was the hardest thing for me to do in my recovery, was to fully, entirely cut the umbilical cord. Because as long as there's some type of connection, there's an element of soothing. Oh, I haven't completely lost them. Maybe they still love me. Or maybe they might want me back. Maybe they're going to be sorry. Maybe they're going to realize what they lost. Eliminate all sense of hope. Eliminate all sense of hope. No contact. One of the toughest things that I did in my childhood, escaping my sociopathic, narcissist, sexually abusive, emotionally abusive father. I had no money, living in Belgium, under his complete, total control and influence. I could have validated how I couldn't leave. But I went through these steps that I'm sharing with you. I made a decision. And that decision was, that night, I was going to get out of the house, leave at all costs. I didn't care if I starved. I didn't care if I had to live on the streets. I was going to remove myself from the situation, and I did. And I struggled, but I figured it out. And to this day, over 50 years later, You can do the math. Over 40 years, over 40 years later, I have still never spoken to my father. So I do know what I'm talking about. It is not easy with family members. It is extremely hard. To elaborate on the no contact, I do understand that, for example, some people, you have family gatherings, and just for the sake of the family, you have to see your toxic sibling. Maybe you've got a narcissist parent, but you want to maybe give them access to their nieces and nephews. So this is what you do. You go no contact, and you tell yourself, for Christmas, for New Year, for Thanksgiving, I'm going to suck it up for 3 days. For the sake of this, for the sake of that, if that's how you want to validate it. And then after that, no contact. You accommodate it, you embrace and accept their BS for those limited amount of days. And then you go back to the no contact. That's the only form of compromise I can recommend. Because I know it's painful to completely, fully eliminate a toxic sibling. And even if you entertain your toxic sibling for a limited amount of days over the holidays, do not engage in dysfunctional conversations. The minute they get toxic with you, you remove yourself from the situation. That might just simply be leaving the room, going for a walk. Do not engage with their toxicity, because as long as you do, they have power over you. They will poke and prod to get a reaction. They will get you frustrated and angry, and they thrive. They love seeing you get angry. They absolutely love it. And if you call them out on their bullshit, they're going to deflect, they're going to deny, they're going to divert. You cannot win with the narcissist. In fact, the only way you can win is to go no contact. It's the only way you can win. Don't think you're going to outsmart them. Don't think, well, I told them, I put them in their place. I vented all my frustrations. No contact. Do not engage, do not entertain. So step 1, grieve. Step 2, make that choice. Then step 3, no contact. Step 4, healthy habits. You have to recreate your lifestyle. And these steps don't necessarily have to happen in this very specific order. But this structure is just the progression of where your mind is going to be at. So step 4 is now you start to incorporate things that are going to help you recover. And there are a series of things dependent on what brings you joy, what brings you calm, what brings you satisfaction. It can be anything from gardening, to meditation, to breathing, to arts and crafts, to getting a pet, getting a dog, getting a lizard, getting a cat, going for walks, going to the gym, getting a gym membership. But all these activities that you're going to bring into your life to help you feel better about yourself, you must commit to doing them. Otherwise, you've defeated the effort and the energy. You must commit to these new behaviors to create a new lifestyle that is healthy, that is going to minimize, if not remove, that excess cortisol that your body has created and absorbed during that period of abuse from the narcissist. Go do some research on Google, some healthy activities. My preferred activities are art. I paint. I release all my energy in my creation. I live in the moment, so I'm practicing mindfulness. I do breathing activities. I meditate. I recently started gardening, which brings me incredible amounts of peace. And I have 2 dogs that bring me so much joy. And in fact, my 2 dogs for me were an integral part. At that time, I had other dogs, but these dogs have been an integral part of my healing. When I was curled up in a ball, unable to function, the only responsibility that I was able to handle was getting out of bed to feed my dog. And that was a successful day. So quickly going back to grieving, as you're grieving and you're creating these activities, it's incremental. Don't beat yourself up again. Have empathy for yourself. Find ways where you can have successful days and acknowledge the growth. So that was number 4. Now, number 5 is the hardest, and this comes at the end of the journey when you feel confident, when you feel strong, when you found your soul again and you recognize who you are. And you now might be a new person. But this is the hardest thing to embrace, and it's the most empowering. And when you reach this level, you know that you have recovered, you have healed, you have overcome the narcissist. You are now free. Number 5 is accountability. Now it's time to look back. In the beginning, you complained and you moaned and you said everything and you vented at all the horrible things that they did to you. Now, at the end of that journey, at the end of the spectrum, you now have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what part did I play? And this is really hard because now you're taking responsibility, even though you are not at fault. You're not at fault for their behavior, but you were in the play. You engaged in their dysfunction. In fact, you allowed the dysfunction. Maybe you even enabled the dysfunction. And you have to be able to take that accountability. I allowed this to happen. I allowed them to reel me in. Yes, I didn't know better. But at one point, you felt the pain. You knew that they were doing it again and again. You knew you were being abused. You knew you were being lied to. You knew you were being cheated on. You knew you were being taken advantage of. Yet you didn't put an end to it. Yeah, but I tried. I told them. You didn't set clear, defined boundaries. And not everybody is capable of setting boundaries, but you've got to get the help and the resources to do that. But once you realize that you were unable to set those boundaries, that is now on you. Looking back, the entire thing was your responsibility. You allowed it to happen. And this is going to sound really strange. Even in my teen years with my father, I look back and I was aware that what he was doing was wrong. The sexual abuse with my siblings, the emotional torment, I allowed it. Deep down inside, I wanted to speak up because I knew it was wrong, but I didn't have the courage. So here I am now as an adult, years later looking back. I needed to develop the courage. It was on me, even though I was an innocent young teenager. I look back, I needed to develop the courage. And then when I did, I set myself free. I hold myself accountable. It was his fault. What he did was horrible. But it was on me to put an end to it. And so when you reach that level of accountability, that's when you can truly celebrate. You are free. You are no longer angry at that person. They can no longer hurt you. You have entirely removed distance, separated yourself from them. You are now you again. They are them. Because while you're in the narcissist abuse, there's an entanglement, an intertwinement, an addiction. Being with a narcissist is not love. It's an addiction. Being with a narcissist is not love. It's an addiction. It's an addiction. It's a strange, strange mind. It's an addiction. And we crave we crave their validation. We start to some strange way enjoy the dysfunction. It's an addiction. It is not love. They never, ever, ever, ever loved you. They never, ever respected you. They never cared for you. And that comes with the accountability. Once you step back, you understand they never loved me. I was blind, I was naive, I was ignorant, whatever adjective you want to add. That's where you were at that time. And now you've grown. You are now empowered, you are now free. If this video has been of value, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to do a deeper dive, get my book, Pink is the Color of Empathy. Thank you for joining.